Hello everyone, my name's Mark Wilson, and for the past few weeks I've been researching President Trump and his handle on the coronavirus, particularly in the early days. Now, when we think of little white lies, they're harmless enough. We're even encouraged to use them in certain situations. But I think a life and death situation is a situation we can all agree little white lies should be kept out of. For instance, going to the doctors or speaking to someone in a position of authority. If you were ill, you would expect to hear the truth. You wouldn't expect to hear anything sugar-coated or told you were fine when there was an underlying problem. You'd want to be able to deal with it in an appropriate manner. Well, this is exactly what has angered many Americans with Trump's early handling of the coronavirus back in February. So from the White House on the 27th of February this year, Trump addressed the nation and he told us it's going to disappear. One day it's like a miracle, it will disappear. Now that statement directly affected the way I chose to handle the pandemic. No doubt many Americans felt the same way and were not worried listening to Trump tell us it was fine and it was going to go away when indeed it wasn't. So this angered many people and had a knock-on effect, as you can imagine. So three of the main points we're going to take a look at is a book called Rage, which Bob Woodward has written, an expose, if you will, on Trump's handling of the pandemic. We're also going to take a listen to Kristen Wargesa's story, and of course we will hear what Trump has to say in his defence. So if we think back to February this year, Trump was warned that COVID will be the biggest threat during his presidency, and that was from his National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien. It was further backed up by the Deputy of National Security, who advised Trump that COVID is going to be on par with the 1918 flu pandemic, which killed 50 million people worldwide. So, armed with this information, instead of addressing the nation, President Trump calls up Bob Woodward, and he goes on to tell him just how serious this virus is, even though that he's saying the exact opposite to the public. You just have to breathe air. This is deadly stuff. That's how it's passed. He repeats that for emphasis while talking to Bob Woodward. So just to give you a little background information, this is Bob Woodward. He is a venerated reporter and editor for the Washington Post since 1971. He's no stranger to writing political books either. As you can see, he's written Rage, which is focused on Trump. So according to the blurb of Rage, Rage draws from hundreds of interviews, first-hand accounts, confidential emails, and insiders from the White House. If you remember earlier, I mentioned Kristen Wargesa. She unfortunately lost her father to COVID-19, and she blames Trump for this. Her 65-year-old father, Mark Wargesa, went out. He didn't social distance. He didn't wear a mask on Trump's early words. So Kristen Wargesa was thrown into the media spotlight when she spoke out at her father's obituary, and she said, "We're taught to follow our leaders, especially in a time of crisis. For people like my dad, he trusted Donald Trump." So this is Kristen Wargesa with her dad. As devastating as the virus has been to all of us, President Trump has since put in the work. He's been updating us regularly and has put various measures in place. However, with a presidential re-election coming up, he's been forced to address these issues that he's lied to the nation. And I'm going to tell you what he said. On the 9th of September this year, from the White House, Trump addresses the nation. He says he's a cheerleader for the country. And to this day, he still likes to downplay the coronavirus. He doesn't want to provoke panic and frighten anyone. Well, that seems on the surface like it might be a reasonable argument, but as I mentioned before with the doctor scenario, we need to know the truth, especially when it comes to life and death situations. So we know Trump has lied, and if he had the chance to do it again, he wouldn't change anything. So I didn't want to present this information in a way that was going to be biased. I've just presented the facts. Whatever your political views are on this topic, we all need to stand together as a nation and support each other. Thank you for listening.